My name is Anna, and I always wanted to speak English fluently. When I started learning, I was very excited. Every new word felt like a small treasure. I wrote the words in my notebook and repeated them many times. But after a few days, something strange happened. I forgot most of them. It made me feel sad. I thought I had a bad memory. But deep inside, I knew I had to find a better way. One morning, I sat in a quiet cafe with a cup of tea and my English notebook. I opened it and saw the words I wrote just last week. I didn't remember half of them. Why does this keep happening? I asked myself. I looked around and watched people talking. I noticed something important. They were not just using words, they were using words in real life. That was my first big discovery. I realized that learning words from a list was not enough. I needed to live those words. So I changed my plan. I stopped writing long lists. I started choosing just 5 words each day. But I used them in sentences about my life. For example, one day I learned the word borrow. I wrote, "Can I borrow your umbrella? It's raining." I imagined myself saying it. I even said it out loud. After a week, I noticed a big difference. I remembered the words better. But I wanted to go deeper, so I started telling small stories using new words. I didn't write big stories, just simple ones. If the word was invite, I wrote, "I invited my friend for coffee." She said yes. We had a great time. Then I closed my notebook and told the story again from memory. It worked like magic. One day, I met a woman at the library. She was also learning English. We started talking. I shared my method with her. She smiled and said, "That's what I do too. I call it word living." I liked that phrase. Word living. It felt real and active. We decided to meet once a week and practice together. Each time, we chose 5 new words and created small stories. We corrected each other gently and had fun. Our practice became a habit. We laughed a lot. We sometimes made mistakes, but we didn't feel bad. One time, I used the word lend wrong. I said, "I lend her money," when I meant, "She lent me money." My friend corrected me kindly. I never forgot the difference after that. Mistakes helped me grow. I started to love mistakes. They became my secret teachers. I also added pictures to my learning. I drew small images next to each new word. For the word bake, I drew a little cake. For travel, I drew a bus. Even though my drawings were not very good, they helped me remember. My brain started to connect the word, the sound, the picture, and my own stories. It was like building strong bridges in my memory. Soon, I didn't need my notebook so much. I began to remember words naturally. Sometimes I heard them in movies. Other times, I saw them in books. I understood them quickly because I already lived with them in my stories. One night, I watched a film and understood a whole sentence. I smiled and whispered, "That's one of my words." It felt like meeting an old friend. One day, a tourist in my city asked me for directions. I answered in English without thinking. My words came fast and clear. I was surprised. Did I really say that? I asked myself. That moment showed me how far I had come. I didn't memorize the words. I didn't force myself. I just used them in life, again and again, until they became part of me. Now I teach English to other beginners. I always tell them the same thing. Don't try to remember words. Try to live them. I show them how to make stories, draw pictures, and speak aloud. I tell them about my mistakes and how they helped me learn. Most of all, I remind them that learning is not about being perfect. It's about staying curious, creative, and brave. One student once asked me, "But what if I forget the word anyway?" I smiled and told her a secret. It's okay to forget. What matters is what you do after you forget. I explained that forgetting is part of learning. When we forget and then remember again, the word becomes stronger in our mind. It's like training a muscle. Each time you remember, it becomes easier. Another student said, "I'm afraid to speak. What if I use the word wrong?" I told him, "I used to feel the same. But I changed when I stopped caring about mistakes." I shared how I once said chicken instead of kitchen at a party. Everyone laughed, including me. And after that, I never confused them again. I told my students that bravery is more useful than memory. I also learned to connect words to emotions. If I learned a word like excited, I didn't just write it down. I thought about the last time I felt excited, when I bought my first English book. That memory helped me keep the word. I discovered that when a word touches your feelings, it doesn't leave your memory easily. Feelings are strong glue for language. One weekend, I decided to do something new. I spent the whole day only thinking in English. I went shopping and described everything I saw in my mind. Green apples, soft bread, busy cashier. It felt strange at first, but it became fun. I was surprised how many words I already knew. That day showed me that thinking in English is one of the best ways to remember. Later, I added speaking to my thinking. I talked to myself in English when I was alone. I described my morning routine. I brush my teeth, I make coffee, I open the window. These small actions helped me connect words to real life. I didn't need a teacher or a classroom. I was becoming my own teacher. My house became my school. My life became my lesson. Sometimes I recorded my voice. I told little stories using the new words I learned that week. Then I listened to my recordings while walking or cooking. Hearing my own voice helped me remember better. I also noticed my mistakes and tried to improve. It felt strange at first, but after a while I enjoyed it. I sounded more confident each time. Another method I loved was using sticky notes. I wrote English words and put them on things in my house. Mirror, door, lamp, pillow. Every time I touched something, I saw the word. I said it out loud. After some weeks, I didn't need the notes anymore. The words were already in my head. My home was full of English, and my mind was full of pictures. One day, I found a new word, regret. I didn't know how to remember it, so I made a small story. I wrote, I regret not learning English earlier, but now I'm doing my best. That sentence stayed with me. I didn't just learn the word, I felt it. That's when I understood the biggest lesson of all. If a word connects to your real story, it becomes unforgettable. I also played games in English. Word puzzles, memory games, and even phone apps. I didn't do it to test myself. I did it for fun. When learning is fun, the brain works better. I laughed, I guessed, I made mistakes, and I enjoyed the process. Sometimes I played games with my students too. We made silly sentences with new words. The sillier, the better. And the words stayed longer. Now, when I look back, I see how far I've come. I don't remember every single word I learned, but I remember how I learned. I remember the feelings, the stories, the mistakes, and the joy. Learning words is not about memory. It's about meaning. It's not about pressure. It's about play. And once I understood that, I never truly forgot a word again. One morning, I got a message from my friend in English. I read it without using a dictionary. I understood everything. She wrote, "I admire your progress. You inspire me." I smiled. Those were new words once. Now they were part of me. I replied using the same words. I didn't even think. That's when I realized real learning happens when you don't even notice it anymore. I started keeping a word diary. Each day, I wrote a short entry about my day, using at least 3 new words. Some days I was tired, and my sentences were simple. Other days I was full of energy, and my stories were longer. But I never skipped a day. That small habit gave me so much power. Over time, my sentences grew more natural. I wasn't just learning words. I was learning to use them. I also began to ask people, "What is your favorite English word?" Their answers were interesting. One man said, "hope." Another woman said, "butterfly." I would go home and write stories with those words. That way, each word had a face and a story. It wasn't just a word from a book, it was part of someone's life. That made it easier to keep it in my mind. Sometimes I looked at old notes from the first months of learning. I laughed. My handwriting was messy and my sentences were strange. But I also felt proud. I could see my journey. I could see how many words I now knew. I once thought I was bad at remembering. But the truth was different. I just didn't know the right way yet. There's one moment I'll never forget. I was watching the sunset on a quiet evening. The sky was pink and gold. I whispered in English, "This view is breathtaking." That word, breathtaking, was new for me just a week before. Now it came naturally. That small moment showed me something beautiful. Words grow inside you when you use them in real life. Now I help others find their way to remember words. Some people love music. I tell them to learn lyrics. Some people love movies. I tell them to write down lines from films. Some people love drawing. I say, draw your vocabulary. There is no one perfect method. The perfect method is the one that brings you joy. Because joy helps memory better than pressure. Sometimes students ask, how many words should I learn each day? I always say, even one is enough if you truly use it. One real word is better than 10 forgotten ones. I learned slowly but deeply. And now, even after many years, I still learn one word at a time. I give each word space to grow, like a small plant in a big garden. Looking back, I understand something important. We often forget words because we don't give them meaning in our lives. A word is like a friend. You need to spend time with it, speak with it, laugh with it, and sometimes correct it. The more personal the word becomes, the harder it is to forget. And the more words you care about, the richer your English becomes. English is now part of my daily life. I read books, watch shows, talk to friends, and even dream in English. But I never stop doing what helped me from the start, making stories, using pictures, connecting feelings, and speaking without fear. I still forget some words from time to time. But now I know forgetting is not failure. It's just an invitation to remember again, but deeper. So, if you're learning English and worried about forgetting words, don't give up. Stop memorizing. Start living the words. Make them part of your world. Use them in your stories. Connect them to your emotions. And most of all, enjoy the journey. Because when you love the words, they love you back, and they never really leave you.